Hello everyone, welcome to Focus and welcome to the art room, or at least the activities room, which becomes an art room once a fortnight. My name's Ian Reynolds and I'm the tutor here, or at least I am on once a fortnight. I've been an art teacher since 1969, so quite a long time, and in the last 30 years or more I've been involved in teaching adults and youngsters with a visual impairment. I wanted particularly to speak to you today because I feel that it's an area that you may not have considered as a possibility for people who've got sight impairments. And I can't be with you because I'm out of the country holidaying. So this is a sort of second best to try and give you some idea of what we do here. I've been involved with Focus for well over 20 years, on a very, very part-time basis to start with, and more recently, for the last 14 years, running this little art club. I'm surrounded by some of the work that's been produced here. The two paintings are actually my pictures. I still paint. And you need to know that I'm registered blind. That is, my sight is somewhere below 360. Andrew will no doubt be able to quote you exactly where I stand and what the issues are. I'm actually, I've got a congenital form of macular degeneration, so my very poor central vision. What I particularly want to draw to your attention is that art is still very possible, even if you are in the process of losing some of your sight, and also if you've lost your sight. It's not a no-go area. It's a very flexible subject that can be altered, changed, engineered to many different situations. Here's an example of a lady who was losing her sight in her 80s. She's tackling a subject which I think is very appropriate for somebody who has lost a lot of the detail in her sight. I think she had age-related macular degeneration. She'd been on a trip to the fjords in Norway and came back with some photographs and actually some painted sketches, and produced a series of pictures of the kind of atmospheric effects that she witnessed there. They don't contain lots of detail, but they do contain real interest in the colour and the forms and the sort of poetry of the scene that she's depicting. She got terrific satisfaction from doing that. She'd been somebody who enjoyed painting before that she lost a lot of her sight, and therefore it was a way of being able to continue something that she was already involved in. In her case, she needed to lose some of the preconceptions or the ways that she worked in the past. It's very difficult to do highly detailed, precise work if your sight's deteriorating. On the other hand, it's very possible to do very different kinds of subject matter, as in the landscapes that she tackled from the fields. Obviously, you will be involved with patients, I suppose they'd be described, service users, who have no sight at all. And so I've got here some examples of work that has been produced by totally blind people. This cockerel, hen, is taken from a concrete hen that I brought for the purpose. For blind people, obviously, they can't study a photograph. They can study the real thing, but it's quite difficult to get a hen to sit still for hours on end. But in this case, there was an example that I purchased, which the Claire very carefully, using her sense of touch, got to grips with the basic shape that she was observing through her fingers, and then tried to produce a version of it. She then, with our assistance, started to think about where this hen might be placed, and so produced a backing of straw and so forth. The colours, clearly, we assisted with, and tried to keep them as straightforward and simple as possible so that the painting was made that little bit more straightforward. Often, with a blind person who's always been blind, their grasp of the visual world is obviously quite limited in places. So this is an example of a situation where we've tried to explain through working exactly what, in this case, a country cottage and garden might be. So it's an exploration through language and then through making of what a cottage and its environment might look like. So that the blind chap involved obviously had hopefully the pleasure of making it and the result, but also had a better idea of exactly what a roof is, because clearly blind people aren't very often going to climb up and feel what a roof might look like. So when you're considering activities for your service users, don't discount art, and don't discount art as an education tool. I've for a long time worked in schools where I felt it was very important that we tried to put back some of the information that was missing from the understanding of the world for a blind child or a severely visually impaired child. And therefore, rather than discounting the visual world, we tried to give some explanation of it so that when sighted people referred to the visual world, the blind pupil would have some notion of what they were talking about. And the art room was one of the very few places where this could actually take place. You could spend time examining items in detail, rather than just casting your hand over them to see what they were or what they weren't. So it wasn't just identification, it was real engagement with texture and weight and I suppose the smell of the materials, etc. So I think there's a real place for art in education. There's a real place for it, particularly in the rehabilitation side. Many of the people that come to my class have lost their sight fairly recently and are in a pretty negative state. It comes as quite a revelation for them when they realise that they can do something and they can take pride and pleasure in what they do. And it's a way of rebuilding a little bit of confidence and self-esteem. So it has a role, I think a quite important role in that sense as well. Focus, clearly, as a place, needs to promote the general well-being of the people that use it. And I think that the art activities, hopefully, for those that are interested, the art activities can help with that whole process of making life more exciting and interesting, even when you've lost a considerable part of your sight. I hope that gives you some insight as to our little art group, and I do apologise for not being with you. Okay, bye-bye.